Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's Monday, February 6th. We've got even more earnings this week up ahead, so let's get into it.
Good morning, everybody. So, what's on the menu today?
Fart.
I'll uh,
Art?
I'll start us off with a stupid play, and we can go from there, and then it can only go up, right? So I'm looking at GNS, that's Genius Group. $15 strike calls.
Oh, not this one again.
Yep, it's garbage. Just let me do my talk, and then you can tell me how dumb I am. I am looking at the $15 calls. I know it comes up every now and then. Here's the thing: they keep adding higher strikes on the option chain. Do I think the company is great? Probably not. But if they're adding strikes, there's interest in those strikes. They don't just randomly add them. So I'll throw a little money on it at the top end and see what happens.
Rat, is that your is that your decision maker that they're just adding strikes, so that's good.
It must go up more.
It not that it must go up more, but sometimes adding strikes is a sign that there's interest.
How far out did you buy?
It's gonna be the March ones. And
I think
so
today's
that
gonna
I'm
be a
just
good
gonna
day.
I mean, look, is this the smartest thing in the world? No, I'm not going to come here and say this is a very smart play, but could it go up? Yeah, it's got a chance, and I'll throw a very, very small amount of money on that chance, right? That's what we do here sometimes. We just throw a little cash and see if the wheel comes up the right color.
You know, Tuesday Fly's over there grinning right now.
I have long shares in GNS just because of the NFT coupon. I like that. I think it's a neat way to do things, and it trades out for training classes on any classes they offer on their website. So
Did I hear NFT coupon?
yeah,
You mean, oh gosh, this is bad news for Bed Bath & Beyond. They've already got the coupon game cornered up for the NFTs.
Aren't they closing some stores in Arkansas? Like 5 stores? I think they were liquidating 5 stores. The news just broke out on that for the weekend.
I think it's not particularly news. They've been talking about cutting stores for ages now, so
Well, I'll tell you what news is then.
At this
Uh,
point, I'd be more surprised if they didn't announce they were cutting more stores every earnings report.
so
for
news on Adani. Apparently, two groups, Vanguard and BlackRock, have exposure to the Adani Group conglomerate. They do have some stake on it. Not a lot. I mean, we're talking about 0.17% stake BlackRock has. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. And Vanguard, I can't imagine Vanguard having anything, significant, but they have some small stake on that.
I wouldn't be too worried about either BlackRock or Vanguard. Their
Right.
whole business is to be extremely diversified.
Yeah, those are two massive companies. They're probably going to have their hands in everything, right? Like you could trace
Right.
any scandal, they're going to have some small amount of it. They just kind of own it all.
Well, I mean, at least this opens up the doors to maybe we'll have more significant stakes from different groups. I know these guys don't mean a lot. It's a drop in the bucket for these guys. But maybe the doors are going to be open going forward with any breaking news about any other entities that have large stakes. But we'll see, I guess. We'll see as it develops.
I heard large stake and you caught my interest.
Oof.
Speaking of steak, apparently the cattle inventory is the lowest it's been in several decades.
61 years, the lowest it's been.
61 years. That's
Wow.
twice the 30 years that Mr. Tendy Chaser looks for. And does anyone have any plays on that? How do you play beef?
I was just looking into that, so I'm glad you asked. BRFS is a Brazilian meat company, which if the U.S. herd is low, that might be a decent play to look at. Of course, there's Hormel, famous boomer stock. Another one, that's HRL, Pilgrim's Pride, PPC, Sanderson Farms, and Tyson, which their earnings were today and they kind of sucked. So that one's probably not one to look at. Or it's a good time to get in, depending on how you want to look at it.
I was about to say, it's like, I don't know, maybe there's some hope on the horizon if that's the case. But the problem
Yeah, I
is,
think.
I think every sector of that industry, like they have something that's hurting them. Even the people with the cows, you got the people buying them who, they're paying out the butt for them because we have so few cows out there. And then you also have the fact that I think feed prices have also gone up drastically in that. And so that means that the farmers probably aren't making too much money off of the cows themselves either. So it's hard to figure out where there's a good spot to actually make money off of it.
Well, then,
Unless you
then
have, I think that
Sorry.
Brazilian company that T Prince was talking about might be the better one because if they're a foreign company, if they're importing beef into the U.S., they would probably be the bullish ones.
Has
Yeah,
Brazil
I was
stabilized?
I was going to say that I just had some family members that went down on vacation in South America, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, and they said that their food portions, they serve a lot of meat, number one, cheap. So if I think the South American beef plays might be in the offing for that one.
You said that ticker for the Brazilian one was BRS, correct?
BRFS.
BRFS. Okay.
Bravo, Radio, Foxtrot, Sierra.
You got 3 out of 4 correct.
I knew radio wasn't right, but I couldn't think of it right then, so I made one up.
Romeo.
I always forget that one.
Is this only dedicated to specific stocks here? I'm not sure how this works, and I apologize for not reading how it works prior to this.
If you
No.
have a stock, give us the play.
I'm thinking just the S&P here. SPY.
Huh. Okay, and
You're one of us.
Well, I mean, S&P's had a hell of a run the past 2.5, 3 months. We got First Trust and Brian Westbury thinking possible recession here in 2023. I keep buying weeklies. They keep getting. Oh, I just spent 68 cents on February 10th, but that was about 2 weeks ago. It's worth 6 pennies right now. I was planning to do a play sometime today or tomorrow, maybe a 390 going out to, let's say, March 17th. I don't know, my premium's going to be not sure. Any thoughts here?
am I the only one lost here? I try to stay attuned to conversations, but
No, I'm pretty lost on that one too.
I believe
Yeah, I
he
don't know.
said 390 puts dated for March. What was it, 17th?
Yes, March 17th, 390 SPY.
Hey, there's the
Right.
play, guys. Anybody got anything else?
Well, if
Thanks for the
anyone,
translation, Matt.
if anyone wants 0 DTEs on SPY today, Aegon says SPY is going up today, and the chicken is always right.
Well, I lost 7K on Friday, but I made 7K on Wednesday. If I didn't sell, I think I wouldn't have lost that much today.
2007 all over again.
On
And that was
SPY or?
SPX.
Yeah,
It was it was a straddle, but I think I may have overextended, over leverage too soon on that one. So had zero pretty much for
Well,
the
I'd
month
be
so
paying.
far.
There's 16,433 traded. Be paying $3.30, or $330 for a 390 SPY put expiring here on March 17th. So obviously SP would have to drop by $22 here for me to be in the money. Pre-markets are, well, I guess $19 now with our red pre-market here. I wonder if that's going to happen within a month.
If you buy it
I
this
don't
morning,
know.
you're already
Maybe.
buying at a premium because it's already got downward momentum. So if you really think it's going to go down, you want to wait till it goes up a little bit.
Well, I don't know if it's going to go back up here. My feeling is this year, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is a Wall Street bet thing here. Maybe I'm being
Stocks go up,
too
SPY
tactical
go
here.
up, SPY go down. I'm pretty sure it'll go up again between now and March 17th.
And go down again, too.
And go down again, at least once or twice.
And it might go up again.
390 is a
always.
weird price target. I don't know why you picked that.
And it might even go sideways a few days.
Yeah, crab walk for sure. Roger, I think we spied this one out, did we not?
Thank you very much, guys.
I spy a transition.
What's the expiration on that? On your puts?
I think he said
So-
317.
He said March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
317. I mean, he has some length. He has some time.
There's time value in it.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I think Adani will bounce back.
Thank you all.
You think Adani's bouncing back?
No,
I thought that's what
probably
that guy said.
probably a major bounce, but it's never going back to the all-time highs or anywhere close to that.
Adani Enterprise psychological support was nearby 1,000, and from there it went back to 1,600.
What's the ticker?
I don't know. Most of us can trade it.
Yeah, I think. What was the company that we looked into? I know there was one that actually had. There was like an India ETF that had Adani in it, wasn't there?
I think Hindenburg sorted
It's
Adani bonds because Adani stock is not direct listed in New York.
it's Adanient. That's the ticker pretty much.
Yes, yes.
ADANIENT.
Which is non-tradable on the New York Stock Exchange, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
After Hindenburg report, many people sorted Adani futures and also bought put options. So many people in India here earned so much money from sorting Adani.
I'm guessing it's huge, right there. Everybody's heard about Donnie over there.
Yes, yes.
And what's their reputation prior to this report? What was their reputation? Are they known to be like a good logistical company or?
No. After this report, many people are not trusting in Adani. Also,
No, but what about
What was
before?
before the report? What
Yeah,
was the
how were-
overall social sentiment before
Yes.
the report came out?
I think Adani will bounce back if in 2014 Modi government will be again. If Modi will win again.
All right, so
Okay.
here's my thought. Here's my thought about Adani. So there is a thing called LIC in India, which is Life Insurance Corporation. It's more or less like a freaking 401k. So that particular sector, it's a public sector. So that particular sector holds approximately 4.5% of Adani's stocks. So if Adani goes down, the LSE is going to go down, and lots of people going to lose money. if I have to take a side on this, I would probably take against Adani, because Adani stock price going down has lots and lots of after effects that nobody else is seeing. So maybe short an ETF which holds Adani stock. That's what I would say.
But is this something like if Amazon in the US had like some nasty tea come out about it? Like, do you really think they would? I mean, I guess you could let Amazon fail, but is Adani too big to be going under? I guess is the question.
It now is, I believe. It now is.
I mean, he was before the crash. Also, I mean, before this report came out, he was very, very big. I mean, there are 3 or 4 major families in India: the Ambanis, the Tatas, Birlas, and then Adani joined the same rank in the last 3-4 years, right? So he was being portrayed as
He
the
was in the list of top 3 billionaire in the
right,
world.
But
and
so was
he was.
Elon Musk. But now see what happened.
Yeah, I think the question was how was his sentiment before? Yeah, sentiment was really positive about him, I'll say.
Yes,
Would you
yes.
say that the government supported a lot in the growth of Adani before this report?
Yes. Yeah, nothing happens without the government support.
Before this report came out from Hindenburg, no one from India was able to talk about Adani. Government was knowing all about this, but no one was talking about this publicly in media, because media was controlled by the government.
Okay, so recently, after this report, the Modi's government itself put out a statement saying they have never supported Adani Group, which means, well, they obviously, based on what you guys are saying, it looks like they have. But going forward, there will no longer be government support for Adani, no contracts or anything of the sort.
Right.
So Adani, by my understanding, is now too big to fail because the government is putting out official statements that they're not involved in any growth of Adani.
See, there's an election coming up in 2024. Modi is up for re-election, so he will definitely be very, very careful how he goes forward with Adani, right?
Right.
So
So you're gonna have a political crap show the same year we do. Fun.
Hell yeah, brother.
So Modi's government is pretty much saying we will not do any sort of bailout going forward or anything of the sort for Adani itself because of this report that's coming out. So they're done for.
They didn't say
Yes, because there is
pay.
election ahead, so government will also be aware because of reputation.
And there is a similar history.
The
If you
last group of people that we want to trust is the Modi government. They would say a lot of things that they don't do, but they actually do it.
Oh, okay. So like broken promises, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone looked at Catalent? CTLT? Looks like there's a rumor mill of a merger or an acquisition. They've been flying up the past few months, so.
What are they, and who's trying to acquire them?
They're in biotech. There's this question of Danaher. I'll have to read it more a little bit. I mean, they're partnered with stuff like AstraZeneca, so they have good rap, but it's a decent-sized company, too. I've never heard of Danaher, though. It's something to keep an eye on. Mergers and acquisitions always fun. And tradable, unlike Adani.
So there's an egg shortage and people still have to eat breakfast. So since Kellogg's is reporting earnings on Thursday, I'm going to get 70 strike calls for 217.
Yeah, I'm going
cornflakes and corn-based as opposed to rice-based.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't there a, what's it called? Lower yield for this year's harvest or this past year's harvest?
I think you're right.
It was indeed, and that's why the corn ETF is still really high right now.
And I think he's talking about rice, right?
Right. Rice is Rice Krispies. Or
But
Cocoa
they make
Puffs,
it.
if I remember
They
correctly.
make everything from like Nutri-Grain bars to
Frosted
Eggo
Flakes
waffles.
and Kellogg's stuff, to my knowledge, are corn-based. Think like Special K. I think that's Kellogg's product.
But
Or
if
I guess
Kellogg's is able to pass on the cost like Pepsi did, then they should actually be making good profits.
Isn't
Keep in
this
mind,
play?
there's
Sorry.
also a plan to split Kellogg stock into 3 different stocks. I don't know if that's still going through, but you got to keep that in mind that that's looming out a couple months.
AIoT, I want to hear you. You're very upset about this.
Yeah, I'm not upset. I'm just pointing out the facts that Ukraine did obviously. We had a little problem with Ukraine and their wheat problems, but someone else benefited from that, and they obviously still, how do I say this? Still were able to get their wheat product. So I hope we're not playing the whole supply restraint play again on Kellogg's. I think we're going to have a very surprising earnings call, and we're going to have a very good earnings call. I would also pivot to the point that Scald brought up, that they are going to consider the facts of splitting into 3 stocks. I think that is, I guess we'll find out during the earnings call if that's going to happen within 2023. But yeah, I digress. I
When's
was
their
just
earnings call?
because I thought it was Friday, but I guess it's Thursday. Is that? Could be wrong.
I was going to say, using the egg basis for your investment thesis on them having a pretty good earnings call. I, as far as I know, I feel like most of that happened this first quarter, so I'm not sure why the fourth quarter would reflect that. Like, obviously, forward looking, you'd see that, but I don't see how you'd see that in the fourth quarter results.
I think I'm just bullish on breakfast in general, so that makes me want to buy it.
Yeah, it's true. Throw up the Doge if you like granola bars. Throw up the Doge if you like breakfast. But also, I would argue that cereal is dying and granola bars kind of took over. So, Doge for granola bars, and Doge
Well,
for,
they
as Hardy said, Rice Krispie treats.
They make them.
Have you guys eaten this morning or?
Yeah, everyone seems very hungry.
I had eggs and sausage. It was delicious.
I mean, buffalo wings. But do you
A
have
grit bowl.
plates?
I'm
Grit bowl,
holding
fully
10
loaded,
Nifty
smothered and
calls.
covered.
But do you
Yep.
have plays?
I do have plays. I do have plays. So because I can't afford eggs yet because they're so expensive.
Same.
So I'm not enjoying that great breakfast you're having.
You know you could finance.
No, I think I'm gonna have to go find a job at Walmart because apparently Walmart's paying so good. Latter Day's buying eggs, or he's getting them for free. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Walmart
I have
has really
chickens
good-
at my house, so
All right. So what plays do we have? Let's move off this topic of breakfast foods, please.
Oh, yeah,
I got a play.
It's on BBIA, Big Bear AI. This stock has pumped 600% in the last month. So looking at it on Friday, I said, well, you're up 600%. You got decreasing volume. Your oscillating indicators say you're in highly overbought territory. I bought some puts. Up another 20% this morning. My puts are fuck. I don't even know. We'll see what happens.
Wait, are you talking about Big Bear AI?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I saw they were up about 15% this morning. Holy shit, Scald. I'm so sorry, bro.
Well, they were already up 601% on the month on basically no news, and it's an unremarkable implementation of machine learning and AI. The math behind it's just a basic gradient descent, not the most complex thing on earth. And it's basically an unremarkable implementation of that for productivity purposes. And they're sending it to the moon for no reason. It's not done anything remarkable at all. So, we'll see what happens.
They're just messing with you, Skull. They're just messing with you. Hang in there.
I would say that if you've watched the news lately, all they talk about is ChatGPT and how AI is going to basically transition into the workforce and help be a anchor more than a hindrance on employees' workflow. So I think this is the year of AI. I think I don't remember who said it, but there was enough voices in here that did say AI was play for this year. So yeah, NVDA is definitely one that would be on the watch list. We talked about Intel yesterday, INTC. They got some, they got a lot of things up their sleeve, and yeah. So I think this is the year of AI. To play against it, good luck.
I've got one.
Okay, so if that's the case, then the tickers are AI, SOUN, and BBAI. These are all AI-only companies that are publicly traded on the stock exchange. But again, I'm not convinced specifically with Big Bear. Sound is up 100%. Okay, but like Big Bear, it's just irrational exuberance. Doesn't make any sense. They're selling tulips.
I saw an article yesterday that Microsoft is working with, this gets difficult. Microsoft is working with ChatGPT to implement it into Bing. I think the browser, but maybe it's the search engine. I'm not sure, but I think
the search engine.
Yeah,
The
I
search
think
engine.
personally that makes it a little bit more bullish.
I highly doubt that it's gonna be a public thing from Microsoft. They're probably gonna incorporate it into their business.
Yeah, we're getting
Google said the same thing with their AI, and Google has much further reach in the search engine area. So Google also announced the same thing during their earnings call, that they're going to be launching their AI alongside Google Search, and they're also going to be launching industry-specific flavors of their AI to support industries. So they work with companies to develop industry-specific AI to support different industries, especially healthcare, which I think is Microsoft might have a tough time competing with Bing and AI versus Google and AI.
Well, I think we were just to add real quick. My company is talking about using it in the Microsoft Suite, even as a language feature to help people like type stuff up. So
yeah.
I think from that aspect, it's interesting. I don't know that people really understand what they're gonna get out of it, but I think it's gonna help a lot of like non-native speakers craft documents and such now. So
I had the thought last night that, and this is a little off topic, I guess, but we could like go in and put parameters in the code for theme on the front end, right? And so these parameters are just words that are replaced by chat, and those are theme-based words. So I can take any website and slap these parameters all across the front end, and then have chat go in and say, "Hey, I want this to be a pirate website, or I want this to be a car website." That shit, that'll change some shit.
yeah, but I think it's also a little bit behind what a lot of people think it is.
I agree with you.
ChatGPT has been caught providing false information and such, hasn't it? So I think people are using it to try to get the answers to everything and not just as a language model, which is what it is.
Well, fun fact, guys, if you want to mess around with ChatGPT and see the limits of its knowledge, type in the words random Redditor with the first R in random and the first R in Redditor, all one word capitalized, and then type in the words random Redditor, both of the R's capitalized, with W capitalized, and then no capitalized, all one word, random Redditor with no, and random Redditor. And it messes up the gradient descent. And if you ask it about these words, it will start to give you just complete nonsense. It'll be like, the definition of dog is a canine, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? But there's actually a list of phrases you can use with ChatGPT to completely wreck its output. It's pretty funny.
Some Sun Tzu stuff that GPT is acting. AI is acting stupid so it can take us over.
Since we're on the topic of ChatGPT, I did get an email today from pretty much mass email from my job, saying since ChatGPT is getting popular, they're looking to implement ChatGPT. However, what they're afraid of is that the wrong person might get the wrong information. Either it's a customer or a different department because of ChatGPT. So they're staying behind until Microsoft develops ChatGPT into more Microsoft Suite products, one of them being Microsoft Teams Premium Edition. So I definitely think Microsoft's going to add ChatGPT to Microsoft Premium. But again, that's one concern that my company has regarding ChatGPT early on in its current form because it knows it's not perfect, but it's also wary about the information that it might release to the incorrect personnel.
I saw a TikTok yesterday of a kid that was using a 3D printer in ChatGPT to write his homework.
So I saw an interesting post about ChatGPT the other day where someone told it to tell him a joke about women. It's like, sorry, I can't say jokes about things that might be offensive to people. And then it goes, tell me a joke about men. And it goes, all right, here we go.
Yeah, well, if you just ask it to do the same thing multiple times, it'll eventually capitulate and give you the answer.
All right, let's bring this back to things we can invest in.
FedEx. Anybody getting FedEx puts? Apparently, with their recent layoffs, I think it was like 6,000.
I'm actually pretty bullish on FedEx and UPS. I feel like this is their time to shine, especially with logistics. I guess you would say kink in the hose being loosened. That's a nice metaphor, I guess. So yeah, bullish on FedEx. I feel like their international shipments are going to pick up, as well as UPS and DHL.
I got a couple plays if nobody else got any right now.
Go ahead, Stay Fly.
What's going on, Wall Street Bets Grand Rising? Happy Monday. Hope y'all enjoyed your weekend. I sure as hell did. I'll start. I threw a couple plays, like a long list. I won't even ramble about them. I got a couple that I really like. I'll touch base on the AI sector. CTM is one of my plays. It's got 30 million share float. It's got a lot of things going, and it hasn't really popped. So if the volume pushes into this thing at like $1, it looks lovely. Anywhere between $1 and $1.20 is a great entry point, in my opinion. No financial advice, of course. But the float, it doesn't match all 16 of my formula layers, but check it out. As well as COSM, we've played that a couple of times. It had news on Friday, so I would keep an eye on COSM. And the last one I'm going to speak on is RCRT. And then I'll give you an options play I jumped into, and then I'll talk about a little bit of loss point real quick. So my options play was AGNC for March 3rd, $12.50 calls. I bought 60 of them, and I may get back in if it goes a little lower. And the loss that I'm looking about to fuck myself is I went into this Amazon February 10th 120 call. I'm down the whole $2,000 I threw in it. It's at 10 cents. Let's see, I might just lose it, but that's part of the game. And the last one, if you don't mind, I jumped into this late on Friday, GENE. And I'll admit, I started to just I like it. So I just started throwing a couple of dollars. I got a lot of lots. I bought 2,300 shares at $2.75 average. That's GENE. And I digress, my friends. One last thing, though, really fast.
Usually when you digress, that means you stop talking. But go ahead,
Right.
sorry.
And I think, no worries. Something else popped up on the scanner real quick, so I'll shut the fuck up in a second. But BZFD volume is at 5.5. The float is at 68.98 million. And that's all I have, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you say, was the last thing you said BZFD for BuzzFeed?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I just fucking, I don't even know where the hell that shit just went. Alert. Where's my scan? Sorry, fellas.
I'm just like, how is that pseudo journalism stock or company publicly traded?
Be careful with BuzzFeed. I have I mean, don't get me wrong, I certainly could be wrong as well. Comcast just dumped a bunch of shares, and they said, and I quote, they expect to dump some more shares depending on market conditions. But I think it's like a couple million or so. I've had some puts on them since probably like 2 weeks ago or so, just because they ran up some, what was it, like 150 or 200% or something crazy like that. There's a few other important catalysts. I was writing some posts about it. Let me look it up really quick. Give me 1 sec. Take over though.
Well, going back to our breakfast discussion, and we're talking about how expensive eggs are, I think this is going to be the year that we have some more people decide, you know what, maybe I'll try the chicken thing. So the ticker I'm looking at is TSCO. That is Tractor Supply.
My thesis: they sell everything you need: chickens, the cages, the feed.
I
I
have a
think
quick
this spring we
counterpoint to
might
that.
see some people getting the chicken fever.
Yeah. So, seeing the price of eggs, I recently bought vegan Just Egg, and that stuff was really good. So people might not be buying chickens.
No,
All
no,
right,
no,
there it is.
no.
What was
For the chicken play?
There is a group coming out with these eggs that has been mentioned here, where they basically are liquid eggs. But the sentiment I'm getting is that it doesn't taste so good. So, but I digress.
Well, if you put
Are
it
you
in a
just talking about like egg yolk in a container? Like you can already get that at stores.
No, it's
You've been
like
it's made out of
eggs.
it's made out of mung beans.
made out of what?
Mung beans.
Alright,
It's
that's
a type
gonna
of
be a no for me, dog. I don't know what that's about.
it's a type of legume.
It's the same play as like Beyond Meat. It's like, oh, it's instead of meat, it's just acts like it's an egg. So watch out for any companies that do that, and watch your noses if you're around those people.
Hey, Tuesday. What was that options play that you had? I thought before you
Yes,
said
sir.
you don't. I thought before you
So
said you don't do options.
I
So I'm
don't,
just
and right. So
curious
I
as to.
this year, since the beginning of the year, I've
Okay.
instead of going after penny stocks and using this formula, which seems to be fucking awesome, I go with now I'm implemented on options. And so far, I mean, I've cashed out on 6 out of 12 and I'm still in like 6. Um, and that was the likes of Macy's, a couple other ones, but the one I'm in now. And so I'm just trying my new formula and I'm adding about 8 more just pieces to the puzzle, right? So it's AGNC. It's a May 3rd, $12.50 call.
Yeah.
And
So
then
if you call, that's good. So if you call 1-800 Tuesday Fly, we'll send you signals over, and if you don't like that, we'll guarantee to fill up your inbox with some unsolicited messages, guaranteed. But
guaranteed to
yes,
make you
good
money.
stuff, bro.
There you go.
Good stuff. Well, no, we can't make those guarantees from here. Don't make those guarantees.
Well, I won't, but
No,
anybody who made money on my plays, go ahead and throw a doge up. I'll
Did you
let you,
say
boy.
May or March? Because I don't see a May option.
I got you right here. Hold on.
Oh,
March. My apologies. March 3rd, 1250.
You know, I was looking at my screen after you said that, and oh, there's a doge. My first doge,
Hold up,
two
wait.
doges.
I got 4,
Whopping 2 doges
5,
out of 1,000 people.
You can't
6,
throw the doge yourself. That does not count.
Nah,
But
I
I
didn't throw no
digress.
7.
doge. But it's all good. It is what it is. I'm getting paid. I'm up this year, so that's all that matters, right?
Bala, we appreciate your plays. I really do appreciate your plays at the end of the day, because you know what? It's like rolling dice. One's gonna print for sure, and so yeah, keep them coming for sure. But I do want to say one quick thing. If you're not
That's a
joined
good
on the
play, by the way.
Discord, please come to the Discord, because it's got casinos, it's got news, it's got people, it's got professional analysts that can analyze your future as well as some plays. We got movie time. If you missed out the movie from yesterday, we were watching a Chinese movie with Kurt Russell, I think it was. But anyway, so I'm going full on calls today for China, because I feel like that's kind of like calling in the sky. But yeah, I digress.
There's 18 doges.
You're not worried about drama regarding the balloon and maybe slight impact to U.S.
No,
elections?
that was a shot down. They had a weekend problem. We do forgive as Americans, and we're going calls on China today.
Is that where opinion was
Hey,
Friday?
This is
I'm not counting your fucking doges anymore.
Didn't China say that there was going to be, repercussions? I mean, granted, nothing too significant. Plus the fact that Antony Blinken canceled his trip abroad. You don't think it's gonna hurt those? I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of downward pressure, at least today. Maybe not the rest of the week, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
But China always makes empty threats. They always do. They I don't see how they
let's
can
not make
affect
this
us
political.
majorly.
Let's not make this political. My guy Chewy is still in Baba Place, so until he digresses, I'm still playing them. So
What about, if I can ask you guys, anyone following QuantumScape, the battery company? It's got some promising potential, but their finances and their roadmap is kind of tricky to look at. They're supposed to not actually start production on their batteries until, last time I checked, 2024. They're sending out some prototypes to some of the manufacturers they want to work with. I think as of like the last couple weeks or so, but they haven't turned a profit yet. Volkswagen and the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation both invested in them heavily, but over the last month or so, they saw a huge stock increase. I don't know why people were factoring in the interest rate so much, at least for this stock in particular. But does anyone follow QuantumScape?
Yeah, I do. It's a solid state. So that's the next gen battery. It would be a few years out, but they're one of the leaders. So that's something you'd throw down like $1,000 on and wait 5 years.
Yeah, this
but
is an
aside from that,
absolute early stage, highly speculative garbage.
Yeah,
I think the reason
super highly
people would be
speculative.
freaking out about that company in relation to interest rates is honestly they have a lot of issues. So if they need to take on more debt with higher interest rates, that's not good.
I forgot the best part. Their earnings is in about 2 weeks or so from now. I was thinking about puts. I just wanted to gauge your guys' opinions as well.
Well,
They
it all
have a
depends
lot of
on.
support.
Yeah, it all depends on if they've actually improved their charge cycles per rotation yet. If it's improved beyond 1400, then there might be something there. You might want to stray away from puts, but if it hasn't and there's no real big news with them, puts might be your option for sure.
All right, what about DoorDash? Market cap 20 billion or so. I don't know how I feel about the space because there's Uber Eats, Amazon had that some degree of a partnership with Grubhub a while ago, and then you look at Europe, the Just Takeaway and their acquisition that turned sour within like 2 years or so. They try to dump that. What do you guys think about DoorDash? Their earnings is within a couple weeks as well.
My problem with DoorDash is it seems like it doesn't take too much to become a DoorDash driver, and therefore you have some really sketchy and drugged up people.
Saturday,
Or-
you and I live near some sketchy motherfuckers, and they're bringing our food to us, and so I don't know that our experience is the same as everyone else's experience there. Though.
Well, I'll just say because the Walmart, we were using DoorDash when we first started doing delivery at my store. We got rid of them pretty darn quick because of the quality of service we were getting through them.
Yeah.
But I would think that Uber would probably be the better play versus DoorDash because some of those people, they also have to drive people, so they do kind of do a little bit of a deeper dig into their drivers than DoorDash does.
3 of the executives announced that starting in February, this week or so, they're going to be starting the sale of around 6 million shares between 3 of them. Tony Zhu is the main one, but that could be over a time span of like a year or so. I just can't see their earnings call going too well. It sounds like the demand for couriers bringing food to you over the last year or so has kind of gone down a little bit. Plus, a lot more people are entering, and I just feel like I don't know.
I mean, the fact they announced that all 3 of them are going to start selling shares is going to immediately create some downward momentum on that stock. So I think if you were able to get some puts in before then, you probably have a good shot of making a good profit off of it.
I think they see the writing on the wall that I think spending is going to keep going down for the foreseeable future. So they just decide to sell shares now rather than later. Because I think DoorDash gets affected just by consumer spending, whether it's high or low.
So interesting thing to look at, like look at DoorDash, right? Then look at BJ's, right? So just BJ, that's sticker. So one's a wholesale food club, right? Like a Sam's Club or a Costco. The other is food delivery. Look at those 2 tickers side by side. They're literally like a mirror image of each other, right? The more DoorDash goes down, the higher BJ's goes up, right? Because people are tired of paying $60 for food when they could go to like a wholesale club and pay $60 and get like a month's worth of food, right? So, as times are tightening, as budgets are constraining, that's what you're seeing, right? Is you're seeing less people are going to use these food delivery services because it's a luxury good.
Plus, they don't
Yeah,
want to
but
worry
groceries
about
ain't
their
cheap
driver
either.
eating their lunch whenever they only give them a $1 tip.
I think I don't know. The cities drive DoorDash, and I think the cities will be fine. Like, you don't go, I'm going to the grocery store for a month's worth of food if you live in a city.
Ladies and
I mean,
gentlemen, I
if you
have
if
used
you don't
DoorDash
live in
before, so I'm a little bit familiar with how it works, but I do believe that we are here to discuss plays and not how to order food online.
I got to play.
Get back to that. Yeah, let's hear it.
An inside info. I'm playing BP earnings today. I'll start today. They're announcing pre-market tomorrow. I'm going to go 35.50 calls expiring February 10th. Oil's been up. Chevron, Exxon, everyone's been doing pretty good, and this worked out for me in August when BP did earnings, so I'm going to play it again. See what happens.
I've got two simple plays that I'm looking into for this week. Puts on hood and puts on pin. Within one, somebody got like an air horn or something.
I think someone just dragged a chair across their floor.
I think that was Chewbacca.
I think the person speaking was just as shocked as
All right,
we
go,
were.
go ahead, Jefferson. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Somebody obviously is tied in a chair. Go ahead.
All right. So very simple explanation. Within $1 of the strike price, or $1 of the current price for the strike for hood, up to 3 for pins. Again, just looking at weeklies, this is an earnings play. The thesis between Robinhood is that they very clearly had scheduled sales for this past Friday. Excuse me. I'm considering potentially they were selling some at top. Then also for pins, ad revenue's been down across multiple different companies within the ad sector. So I think that's going to hurt pins a little bit. It also looks like they have a declining cash flow. My concern with pins, though, is that they have very low debt. So that's pretty much it between those.
Thank you very much, and thank you for actually bringing up their financials. I think that's what we need more of here, as opposed to those personal anecdotes, if you will.
How very sentinel of you.
Boo, just trust me, bro.
I can trust you, but I also want to make money here, so you should actually understand the companies we trade in. Although I know that's not necessarily true for momentum traders.
Hey, I'll take the opportunity to tell everybody to maybe think about buying into Nintendo because it's still going up.
I needed to go up more before I become above water on my trade.
My cost basis is 1034, and I just sold $1,000 worth of shares.
Mine's like 11.
Yeah, I sold last week too. I sold while it was up. I was like 3% up on it, so I was like, okay, bye bye.
Yeah, I'm hoping that thing's gonna push like 13 by June.
That'd make me happy.
Does anybody here have a play on Dell? They're cutting 6,600 jobs. Anybody can expand on that or have more information on that? If they're making a play.
And that feels mild compared to the rest of them.
I do have maybe a play suggestion. I'm looking at RCRT above 70 cents. It's interesting. It has a 12 million share float. That's it.
All right, everyone. Aurora Cannabis has earnings on Wednesday. So I'm going to be doubling down on my $3 sundial calls dated for 2/24, especially if they hit 1 cent per share. So I'm going to try and get them at 1 cent per share and double down on sundial, not Aurora, because, yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit as to like your motive as to why?
I'm holding shares in another account. So this is essentially like it's just one of my weird plays. That's all you have to know is it's Tartstrology.
Okay, and it's company specific or the sector? Is it just for this one company that you're feeling
Well,
bullish
it's the sector. It's the weed sector. So Aurora Cannabis is one of the weed stocks. All the weed stocks essentially rise if one rises. So if Aurora has a good earnings, my calls will print.
What makes you think the earnings is
Because
going to be
the stock will rise. But if they don't, I will be able to buy more shares of Sundial cheaper. So this is just a hedge to essentially a hedge for me to try and get cheaper shares. That's it.
Gotcha. I was just curious as to why you were bullish. As I said a few days ago, in some Western states, marijuana sales have already begun to plateau and stagnate, and they're not seeing the meteoric growth that they were kind of expecting 5 years or so ago. Plus, in addition, all the competitors that are joining the market by the week, it just makes me think that I can't see how there's going to be any market leader with, I don't know, Tilray I had puts on a while ago. And as I said, those didn't work out because of the Biden announcement, but their earnings itself was abysmal, or at least disappointing by most metrics.
Well, I've laid my due diligence down on Sundial quite a few times. All I'll say is look into their acquisitions, and that's where it's at. They've made some severe acquisitions recently, which makes me believe that they will be a large player with or without federal legalization. So that's the entire basis for my thesis.
Chipotle Mexican Grill, what are we thinking? Calls, puts? I think it's on Thursday or Friday this week.
I'm short.
Yeah, it's on Tuesday. I'd be bullish. I was looking at that. The earnings after the bell.
A few days ago, well, maybe actually like a week or so ago, they had some announcement that they're looking to hire, I don't know how many tens of thousands, but they're getting ready for burrito season, which apparently is, I don't know, the next 3 or so months. So maybe if not calls right now, the next quarter, which is usually one of their busiest, I guess. I don't know, just a thought.
How about Carvana? Anyone playing any puts?
It's too crazy of a stock for me. I don't mess with Carvana.
Things had too many run-ups recently.
Well, I mean, it's gonna have to come down, right? I mean, they don't have shit. What I hear, except creditors, who want a little bit of everything.
The premium on the puts is really high right now for Carvana, so I'd be cautious with that. You might just end up paying fade on it.
What's the thesis on why it's pumped so much?
I think some of it followed the EV sector spiking up. I think it's in some of those baskets. Plus, it's more recently become a little bit more meme-y. I'm actually short shares on it, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's had a lot of sympathy runs when Bed Bath & Beyond has had their pump for, missing interest payments and not paying severance and going up 20%, very logical plays.
I think it's going to come down. I just don't know when.
Well, they're going bankrupt, so you know it's coming down. You just don't know when.
I have one last options play if anybody's interested. I got in on Friday. The ticker is LL. It's March 17th, $7 calls.
So we just follow you and buy right in? Gotcha.
Paper trades, you do what you do.
I got that real cash. So the Doge, you got that real cash in the stock market. Excited. We got about 2 minutes left in. We want to do some quick plays. So that Doge up, you got that real cash. You don't got no paper money in. But if you got paper
Like Two
trading
Flight
account, that's
says,
good.
quick in and out.
Yeah, if you
Yes,
got a
sir. Appreciate that. In and out. Fuck 'em.
But if you got some paper trading account, of course that's appropriate too. As you may know, we have a chicken that trades, and they're actually up on their calls. So we'll see if they're right today. But I digress. Good luck, everybody out there. We got 2 minutes, about 1 minute left, give or take, depending on where you're at. And yeah,
AI is the big play for this year.
Woo woo. Not an
I'm
options
looking at
play,
you. I'm looking at you, Soundhound.
but long McDonald's shares. They just announced that they're increasing their dividend by 14 cents.
bullish. What was that one stock that teamed with Amazon and they were like AI play last year and they didn't do so well, but they got like software relationships with them. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Got that weird CEO that comes on, acts little, got curly hair.
Planeteer?
Yeah, exactly that one. What about that stock? That's a good AI stock.
They've diluted those shares so much. That chart looks nasty. I would not look at that chart.
All right.
At this
I'm
point,
not gonna look at it then.
at this point, doesn't the revenue just come straight from government contracts, which they pretty much said, the CEO said, I don't care what you guys think, we're still going through with this, with their contracts. Right? Because most of the revenue is from the contracts regarding the government. Because I don't think they're generating any revenue anymore on their products that they sell. It doesn't seem viable is what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, earnings are important.
Okay, thanks. $9.30.
Is Planeteer considered a meme stock as well, or is it
Market's
borderline?
We could tell you, but then we'd have to kill you. No, it's a meme stock.
It's fun to ask stupid questions sometimes, you know.
There's no stupid questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no stupid questions, just wrong questions.
Okay, speaking of that,
or bad timing.
On Robinhood, they have the option builder, or whatever, and so I was under the assumption that you could paper trade. So I was gonna paper trade on some plays that I wasn't real familiar with. So I did a play on Meta, and it was a let me think once. I think it was a calendar put. Anyways, I got on my account last week, and I'm flipping out because I can't like close any of the contracts and stuff. Well, long story short, here Friday, I was up a couple $100, and I don't know if there's a way to dictate if you're paper trade or not, but apparently when I put in for the contract, it went in, obviously. I don't know if that story makes sense or not, but
I was just waiting to hear you say I accidentally put $10,000 in and made
no.
That's what I was hoping to hear. But...
Yeah. I
right,
wish I
dream.
would have. No, yeah, it was only it was a mere couple $100, but yeah, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it wouldn't let me close the contracts out. So I'm not sure if that's a stipulation with those because you know how it has, you know, whether or not you think the stock's going up, down, whatever. So I went to the very last column, you know, try to make, you know, minimal money on less you know the word I'm looking for, I do believe. Risk.
Risk less, make more is the catchphrase I think you're looking for.
Yeah, so I was kind of treading in, uncharted territory there. And, I don't know. Apparently, I made money, so thank God. But then I did see on my account from Camber Energy a few months ago that I had like $100 that I couldn't get. I think it was. I had a contract. Somebody. What's that called? I forget.
Good thing you're paper trading, man.
Well, actually, I have cash in there as well, but it's first thing in the morning and a little tired. But
It's better than just throwing your money at shit you don't know what it's called.
right. No, but I guess what the question was, is there an actual paper trading icon or anything on Robinhood that you guys are aware of?
I never seen it.
Okay.
I don't think Robinhood has paper trading.
You can use other places, but Robinhood, I've never seen anything about it.
So I'd say
Yeah.
it's a setup then. I got set up for my money, and I won, but
Your best bet and no financial advice is get out of Robinhood.
If you're looking for paper trading, you could try other brokerages like TD Ameritrade or Interactive Brokers.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think Thinkorswim, TD or whatever, that one has paper trading. Pretty sure.
Yep.
I'll never get back into Tesla at a better price point. Sold before earnings. I've been waiting to get back in. I'm just too late. I'm never getting back in.
Anybody still messing with Blue Apron and all?
If we ever. Oh, someone out there going to outer space, but yeah, why was anyone messing with Blue Apron at all? Like, has it ever been profitable?
I don't know. Last week I heard a long discussion on it. I was just curious. I forget who it was.
Scald has calls on it.
Oh,
I've been shorting it in and out on swing and day trades whenever the chart looks, when the volume pumps into it for myself.
I don't think a lot of us are, though. I think a lot of us were against the idea.
Scald saw like a few mentions of it on some squeeze subs or something, so he threw like a few pennies in, but he didn't really particularly believe.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Hey, really quick, wanted to speak to the question around Robinhood having paper trading. It's called a watch list. So basically, when you find the contract you want to actually paper trade, you either double click on it to add it to your watch list, and so it's going to act as if you've actually bought it. That, or tap on it and you can see the option to actually buy or say add to watch list. But the easiest thing to do is just double tap it. It just adds it to your home screen and you can watch it from there.
So then apparently I just single tapped it and it went through live.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that the first time around too.
Be careful with those with touch screens, just a heads up.
Yeah, all I heard was touchscreens. Just a heads up. What was that full sentence?
Oh, be careful with one-click entry exits with touchscreens.
Also keep in mind paper trading, while a tool you can use to learn some things, is not going to fairly represent, especially on like options, it's going to just tell you that you can totally sell at the ask at will, and there's full liquidity and it's easy to do, and there's a lot of things you're going to have to figure out along the way that like it'll be like, oh yeah, people will totally buy these contracts at this price in seconds. And it's like that's not always the case.
Well, and everything changes when you got money riding on it too, so
Also, just a humble congrats if you entered McDonald's when I said you're up a few bucks already.
Oh yeah.
GNS is up 5%, so cool.
But why are you guys trading these garbage penny stocks?
Because opinion, sometimes you do stupid plays and it does what Ape does, and it makes money because it's dumb. That's how you go about it.
Maybe we just like losing money. Ever thought about that?
And you make very small bets on these. You bet pennies for the off chance that maybe you get a 5-bagger on a couple pennies, and then you
Maybe
take
I'm
that
a
to the vending machine.
maybe I'm a plumber or a postal worker that found them in the back of a Hustler magazine.
Well, that didn't date you. But I will say this. I will definitely say this at the end of the day. Wow. That penny stocks, it's not my cup of tea, as they would say. But what I do like is I like when Tesla goes up. That's for sure. There's speculation that it might go up to 420. I'm curious what you guys think about that. Also, Google's not looking so sexy right now. That's going down. Yeah, banks are kind of going down right now. What do you guys feel about the market, the current action of the market? And yeah, good job on the McDonald's call earlier. It's already up $1.51.
Bed
yeah.
Bath & Beyond's up 9%. So again, I think fundamentals are key to this market.
Yeah, of course. A little bit of yeah. There's no sense to the market. Come on, if it made sense, I'd be kind of bored, right?
Exactly. Then technical analysis would always work if it made sense. But I digress.
Yeah. Technical analysis does work when you are confident about your play, and then when you put the money online, you go, "Oh, I guess my TA didn't work this time." But yeah. What about oil stocks? I'm looking to play the put side of CVX, Chevron. I just feel like they're kind of slow trending, but we'll see. What do you guys feel? Do you feel that's a good gamble? Nothing? Okay.
You think it's
Are
gonna
you
go
talking about
down?
long term?
You think?
No, I'm just looking for a short-term play this week. Thinking I have no idea what to go in this week. I'm just totally. I didn't have a good weekend like our Playboy penny stock guy did in regards to his DD. So I'm kind of fresh on it on Monday morning. So I figured I'd just give you guys this lovely insights because you guys are the experts I turn to.
I mean, these aren't short-term plays, but I'm starting to look at Boyle for some shares. It's down a lot, and natural gas is. I'm still feeling good about natural gas in the grand scheme of things. I like it a heck of a lot more now than when it was much, much higher and everybody wanted in.
Can you tell me more about Boyle? What's their financials, as Opinion would like to say?
Boyle's
Yeah, tell me an idea.
it's just a leveraged ETF across all natural gas. I think it's 3x leveraged. So there's no like financials, it's just reflecting a sector if you like natural gas.
All right, thank you for that. And then so Boyle, what a name. Like I mean the condescending name of it, because oil. But anyway, I digress.
Just to your Chevron question, they did announce a $75 billion share back last week during earnings, which is 3 times the amount that they're going to make, or they made last year. They made 25. So it could go down. I think that news is already priced in from last week. So it could go down in the short term.
I just saw that crude took a hit over the last week, so I was just kind of coming into that this week like maybe it's a slow moving response.
Sure, but that's the most recent big news, I would say, and it actually took a lot of ire from the White House and Democrats just because they don't like share buyback. So it was kind of seen as a shot across the bow to Elizabeth Warren and the like. Not to get political, but that was kind of at the heart of it.
Yeah, we don't we don't hate on our politicians in America because they're the people we follow to make some money off of. You know, they're in stocks, we're in stocks.
So that means we're against the Pelosi Act. We want to keep tracking them. Is that it?
The Pelosi Act, I don't think that will pass. I'm still waiting for the Semiconductor Act to pass. So yeah, I'm waiting for all these other bills to pass. But yeah, Intel, you'll make it one day. I promise you, Intel.
Is anybody messing with Nordstrom?
Oof, that's a hot one. Isn't that where Cohen is right now? Where isn't he at the cash register?
Yeah, he's on R5 right now.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
what's
Nordstrom, can I talk about a play?
Yeah, go
Not
ahead.
Nordstrom, but so I made some BBBY puts, or I sold some BBBY puts last week. They're up 40% right now. They're way out of the money. I think I sold 44 of them. It expires Friday. I'm up 40% already.
Awesome.
So-
Good job. Let's everyone throw the doge up for legendary
Whoop, whoop.
Sloth. He didn't move slow on his username, but he definitely moved fast on that play. So good job, legendary Sloth, on that.
Nice.
Thanks for
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had
AMC
two
next.
plays. I had two plays that I played last week that are up 25% today. They were talking about banks. I put puts on Bank of America, and Pepsi was weighed down last week, and I put some calls in, and that's up 25% as well.
These are the kind of
Yeah.
plays that I'm talking about. These are good plays.
Hi guys. Sorry, I had a bit of a microphone malfunction before. I just wanted to give a heads up. If you're into the oil plays, BP, British Petroleum, has their earnings tomorrow morning. They're down a lot today, so I don't know if that means that expectations are low, but that might be interesting.
All right. Anything else, guys? And girls, ladies and gentlemen, and people that look at Hustler magazines, apparently, and the USPS or whatever the.
I'm reading this bearish article on SoFi right now. That's kind of bullshit. I'm
What's it
trying to
saying?
get as much information as possible. It's on Investor Place. It's basically going over how, the sentiment can change, and we all know that all these positives can turn to negatives. It's just a fluff piece trying to get people to be bearish on SoFi.
You're bullish on SoFi?
Absolutely.
Okay. You got a position on it that you want to talk about, or?
Well,
anything?
I have shares. I have a partial share in my SoFi account already, and then I have about like 175 shares in my stash account. I'm up about 50% on my position on my stash.
Now, are you holding long term, or are you holding till next earnings?
Well, I'm holding until this thing gets past $11, so that way I could just, pull out half of the shares as collateral to throw down in my stash and then keep the other half for free.
Yeah.
So you're not
Oh, go ahead.
you're not afraid of a firm dropping in value or any other of its competitors or anything of the sort? I mean, there's nothing that worries you about SoFi or anything?
Well, no, they basically quadrupled their fourth quarter compared to their last fourth quarter of last year. So as long as they keep up this type of revenue build, they should be okay. I don't see why people are so bearish on SoFi.
Okay, that's a pretty strong case, man. Okay.
So I will tell you my bearish sentiment if you want to hear it real quick. It's not going to be pretty though.
And don't tell me, tell the other guy that's bullish. I'm just hearing.
Yeah. No. So I think SoFi is great and everything, but as I did some DD on them, they're really a Capital One play in regards to comparison. The only thing that they have over Capital One is investment banking. I would say also that SoFi is their financials are not that great actually on paper, and furthermore, I wonder how much like customer I guess you would say retention will be, because their attraction to the customer is definitely there. I would argue, but there's so much competition, and they go through Apex Clearinghouse for their investment banking. So does Webull, so does Robinhood, and the likes. So in regards to like being there, like standing on its 2 feet for like a long time, I'm not sure that they have the game book for that. I just think they'll take some of the market share, perhaps, but not enough to stand up forever. We could argue the name, and I said this yesterday, the SoFi name is like sexy on the tongue, but is that enough for me to like hold to it? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But the reality is that financially speaking, on paper, they are not that great. But yeah, I guess time will be of the essence for them.
Yeah, and a lot of those lending companies, they're in the business of buying and selling their own loans, and a lot of their stuff is subprime as well too. So they don't give a crap about the stock price. I mean, their earnings are negative too. So there's no P&E and there's no dividend. I mean, the stock is literally there just for them to have little access to excess capital if they want.
But I mean, somebody just said they had great earnings recently. You can't discount that. You know.
Well, you
Yeah,
can't
but one
discount.
quarter.
Well, they're negative. I mean, they're showing negative, like 5 cents a quarter.
But
They
and
beat,
I would say,
they beat the estimate, but their earnings are still negative.
Okay, so you're bearish long term, pretty much. Yes.
sorry for cutting you off, Diamond
I
Hand. I was just going to say real quick, stocks are forward looking. If anyone tells you different, then they're trying to sell you something that you shouldn't buy. Because the reality is, like, if you if you give me $5,000, right, and I tell you to look at that stock in 12 months, that stock better go up, right? You got to see the movement in that stock. And the argument at the end of the day is like, it's got to beat the S&P 500, right? So is that one of the stocks you want to put in the portfolio for one of your friends or family members and say, hey, yeah, put that in your portfolio and you're going to thank me later. And don't say like, oh, they're in Tesla and they're up 100. No, you should really look at your stocks and say, okay, which ones performed and which ones didn't perform, and really hold yourself to it, But yeah, I digress.
Any other place in the banking sector, finance, interest rate?
I was looking at PayPal. Not to take the mic first, but anybody wants to jump on, go ahead. I think PayPal can beat SoFi back and forth because PayPal's been there for a while, and we could argue that PayPal is a competitor with SoFi. But I feel like the investment banking side, for some reason, these guys like stay up for a while when they have investment banking. So just to clarify, SoFi is not going anywhere. But I would say that PayPal is definitely a good play to play on. They have the money, they have the cash. They can easily get into some other sectors if they want to. They have the AI technology. They have relations that are close with AI companies, such as with Elon Musk. That relationship is still there. Let's not forget that fact, even though he sold off. And then, look at my question is for like financials for you guys is, what do you guys think about those installment payment places that were doing so hot during after COVID, if we want to call it? Do you think that they'll spin up, or do you think that customers are going to stop paying their bills and their stock's going to start reflecting it?
My concern is them potentially getting into what would be considered bad debt. Otherwise, I agree with pretty much everything you said.
You talking about like a firm?
I give an options play.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm looking at the SPY and I'm looking at it for tomorrow. Expiration at 4/12 for $1.63. I'm gonna bet on that. Thank you.
Wow, you're really diving into options there.
I'm just trying to.
It's good to see the change in tune, you know?
Well, I sat here for, like I said, a year listening to you guys learning, and then I'm just gonna apply what I know plus what I've learned and see what happens. Appreciate it.
Hey, I think Enphase has earnings. They look to be moving up. Probably a good time for some calls. They should have an explosive earnings report.
I'm worried about the upside, right? Like it's probably a potential move of about 10%. So assuming, you capitalize on the 10% move up, is that enough upside for how high the options and potential premiums are?
What was that ticker?
And
ENPH. Echo November. Paul Hotel.
Oh yeah. What are you thinking? I'm thinking there's some downsies, as the word you guys like to use in here, downsies for ENPH this week. They barely moved last week. I was looking for some puts on them, but they're a hard one to play. So I will not act like the expert on them.
yeah, they have a gap fill, it appears, below 200 that I've been waiting for it to fill, but it's been holding on pretty strong. I was hoping it would dump before earnings. So now I'm skeptical on, where earnings takes it, although, the past 4+ earning reports, it has gone up significantly. So, but again, the implied move here for Enphase is about 10% either direction. So play accordingly. It doesn't look like enough upside for me, assuming I was bullish.
Yeah, it's down like 30% since December, not too long after its last earnings report, but it should get a really good earnings report. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more than 10% upside.
I mean, wintertime is pretty bad for that sector, right? So,
No.
you ask yourself.
No, it's summer in the southern half. But no. They're going to be reporting earnings from explosive growth in Europe.
So you're bullish on earnings. I mean,
Yeah.
if you follow the trend from the past 4 or 5+, I would assume that it would be bullish. Like I wouldn't go against it, but again, I see a gap fill that needs to hit below 200 at some point.
What are we talking about? Exactly? Consistent feature. Can you mute your microphone? I have some friends. Okay, never mind. Thank you, sir.
So who else got earnings? I think Affirm has earnings. Did you guys talk about that?
Someone mentioned it, but I don't think we really talked about it. It's one of those negative earnings or not earning companies yet. So for me, in the rising interest rate, I don't like those companies.
So puts. I think Affirm has a big move either direction for earnings. About maybe 15%, 18%.
Well, regarding Affirm, it says this is 6 days ago, Affirm's exclusivity period with Amazon expires. More competition could be a worry. Like I said, their partnership with Amazon, that's going to hit them.
Interesting.
Isn't this one of those companies where, like, when I go to checkout, it's sitting there and it's like you can finance through Affirm?
Yeah.
Buy now, pay later.
Yeah, basically. basically, if you check out on a large purchase of some sort, then you could pay with a firm, but it's at 0% interest, and then you pay later.
Yeah, I'm short that company.
And
And
no
all companies
credit
like
report or anything. You
Yeah.
said you're short?
I mean, I personally hate those companies, and I don't feel like they're going to do well. But that being said, the whole cash advance places, I hate those places too, and I don't feel like they're going to do well. But I guess if you charge 6,000% on something, you do okay.
Well, then it'd be interesting to look at puts, right? Because, again, I mentioned that a firm has a pretty high implied movement based on the option chain. So about 22% now that I just looked. Either direction, of course.
So one play that I'm going to do in financials is SQ or block. So ticker is SQ. They beat earnings last time. They seem like they're doing pretty well. So I'm going to wait for probably a couple days here, see if it pulls back anymore. And then after maybe another 1 or 2% pullback, I'll put in a call for after February 23rd earnings because I think they'll do well, and I think the stock will go up after a positive earnings report on the 23rd. So probably a March 1st call or something.
What was the ticker?
SQ.
Oh, Square.
Yeah, it's Cash App, basically,
Square, does anybody know anything else that competes with Square on the I'm a merchant selling you my shit on the street realm? I don't think PayPal has one of those little scanner things, do they?
QuickBooks does.
QuickBooks. Okay.
They're an accounting application for small business. They have it too.
Yeah.
We use that.
Is it relevant to the Square one, or is the cost more? I know QuickBooks is expensive too.
Well, it's a software as a service, and then I can't remember what we paid to get the credit card reader, or if we paid anything at all for that, but it was pretty inexpensive. I mean, it's not that bad.
There's another company that's really cheap that's goes by the name of Clover.
Yeah, PayPal does have its version as well. It's through Venmo. I actually used it when I used to run this business in college, fixing phones, and we had the option of using the Square readers or the PayPal Venmo readers, and they both worked pretty fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a amount of competitors, but if you're talking about the physical processor in person, there might be a little bit less competitors, but overall, in terms of payments, right, Venmo, Zelle, and all of them, I would include them as competitors.
Venmo is owned by PayPal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, something like that. And
yeah.
Then I think who owns the Cash App or whatever?
Square owns Cash App.
Block.
Yeah, Square Block. They own Cash App.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just like the stock because their expected earnings were 25 cents a share, and they beat it with 42 cents. So, yeah.
Just be mindful again of how we look at expected earnings, because we're coming off of a year of losses. So all the analysts have been really, really shooting low in terms of expected earnings for that fourth quarter of 2022. So again, you got to look at it relative to, I'd say the best thing to look at is actually year over year. How did they do in comparison to how they did last year, rather than whether or not they beat their expected earnings.
Yeah, that's true. But for a short-term options play like I'm trying to do, I don't really care about quality of the company as compared to last year. I'm just looking for a momentum trade on that one. And everybody knows about Square, and they're kind of the first one you think of when you think of those little card readers and stuff. They're the clear leader in the market. I've never even heard of PayPal's card reader or Venmo's or anybody else's. I've heard of Square's. So just going to go with that play.
Yeah, that's valid, definitely. Another concern that I just wanted to bring up when it came to some of these financials like SoFi, and I posted it in the chat, is keep in mind the fact that financial institutions, their price tends to stay very close to their book value. I mean, there really isn't a lot of deviation between price and book value. So I know someone said, all stocks you buy are like future looking, but this is like really, you have to be very careful with financials because you cannot expect them to make large swings in one direction or the other, with the exception of bankruptcy, where their prices don't change unless the amount of assets they have changes significantly, and that usually doesn't happen overnight. So just keep that in mind. Like, it really stays real close to like a 1-to-1 between their price and their book value.
Right, that makes sense. And well, I kind of like that because it means it's a cash flow heavy business, right? I mean, Square's not super into lending. I mean, you can borrow money from them, but they're more just making money off their cash flow and their transactions. They're people buying Bitcoin on Cash App, all that kind of stuff. People using their Square card readers, so it's like a cash flow heavy business. That's what I like about it. 52-week low is like $53 or something. The high was like 150. So I mean, getting a call in at $80 or $79, I'm not too worried about, even though it is kind of short term. But yeah, that's definitely something to think about. The swing is not as large. Like, for example, Carvana's at what, $5, $7 or $12 now, and its highest was 300. So companies like that have huge price swings. So I get what you're saying.
Changing subjects. Have you guys talked about C3 AI?
Ticker C3 AI.
Ticker is AI. So AI I've been super bullish on lately, obviously because of all the conversations with big tech and all the investments going into AI, with all large tech dumping and closing shop on a lot of their as services for IoT and other connected devices. So then, they're prioritizing their AI business. Of course, it was a buzzword before. Now it has a lot more applicability, and of course, the stock itself is following the trend because its ticker is AI. So, it's just kind of riding the tail waves of ChatGPT and all the other big conversation pieces.
Yeah. If anybody wants to chime in before me, that's fine. Feel free. I'll give you a quick second.
Is it just artificial intelligence, Internet of Things? Is that your name?
Well, that's not related to the C3 AI, but yeah, it's obviously, yeah, of course, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But,
so the Internet of Things, was a big play back then in the past couple of years. But now it seems like a lot of these tech companies are just shutting down their IoT businesses, or at least pivoting, or maybe consolidating into just the overall AI. So it's interesting to see this movement lately, and it tends to be most of the tech companies doing it. Although I haven't noticed Amazon doing it yet.
yeah, so I'll just go ahead and go back to your C3 AI. I mean, obviously the AI stock name is called AI, so you do have those misspellings that people go into and go, "Oh, I'm investing in AI," haha, right? So they buy the AI stock ticker, but yeah, to go with your IoT Internet of Things, the reality of it is that Internet of Things is just it's just a sector, right? To say that it's closed is laughable, because really they're just trying to basically combine communication lines, if you may. That's what Internet of Things has always been, right? Just a way to like communicate through a global database. And if you haven't heard, they actually are trying to do that with the EU and the US within the banking sector, as well as some other sectors, where our personal data is actually going to be more open and on a I guess you would say global database, if you want to call it that. They do have that within like the banking sectors, like for like MasterCard and Visa already, so you could argue that, but I think that the Internet of Things is really one for instead of looking at it from like the sector standpoint, I think you should look at it from like not to go back to China, but China is a great example of how they basically took their APIs, such with Alibaba as an example, or WeChat Pay, and they just basically combined them so businesses had to adopt it, right? And you'd say, okay, well, give me something that's related to America. Okay, I will. You can go with like the Capital One or the Chase or whatever bank you want to use, but basically it's Visa or MasterCard using the quick scan to pay for your stuff without actually having to swipe your credit card or debit card, and put your PIN code in for debit, and then credit card, you have to like insert some like what kind of credit you want to use. You basically just scan your card to the machine and then it does its thing, right? I think that's the kind of technology that was introduced back in the day for IoT, and nowadays it's more of just like signaling things, which we will find more on the Apple iPhone and the Apple products, the Apple Watches, all those things. You can just pay on the go. And then maybe one day we'll have a solution. I don't know if this will ever exist, but perhaps we'll have a solution where we can use our phones or our watches and be able to check into the hospitals, and we don't have to go through like, what's your name, who are you? It has that signaling power to communicate with the MAC address on our devices to verify it is us, right? But that's a long ways away. We have a lot of pushback on that stuff. But if you want an open world and you want less, I guess you would say, manual doing of things, then you're going to have to be open to that. But don't kill the Internet of Things, please. Not for the sake of my username. I care less about that, honestly. But just for the fact that that's still a sector that will come around. But yeah, I digress.
Yeah, let me clarify. So basically, Google, IBM, and SAP, they're extremely well known for IoT, especially I think SAP, and they're three of the most recent to announce that they're shutting down their IoT platform. So like Google will like shutter its IoT core services and so forth. Like I think they already announced that last year, but I think they're doing it at some point this year. Because it appears that the IoT business as a whole, at least for these tech companies, it was very partner reliant, and now it seems like there's more autonomy around the partners to kind of have more control. So then they're like, well, what involvement do we really need invested in this sector, or like at least line of business? So they're either consolidating, shutting down some pieces of it, but the IoT business as a whole throughout the companies, they're gonna still exist, but like you mentioned, they're pretty emerging technology type of thing. It's just, how do we make money off of it? It's all based off of usage. So if you're trying to calculate revenue, it's gonna be really hard to. And then if you have full staff around it, you're gonna be losing money, at least in their eyes.
I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I think a lot of people have lost track of what Internet of Things is, and I think we put a lot of paradigms on things in technology that don't make a lot of sense, right? Like we create all these like buzzwords and shit. I think we do that so that we can lose people and stuff. But realistically, nobody's making less refrigerators that can connect to your wireless. And so Internet of Things isn't going anywhere. It's actually growing. And I think what's actually happening is the corporations are saying, hey, we don't even have to refer to this thing as a thing anymore, because we can just assume that every microwave and every refrigerator is going to be connected to the net.
Well, and again, some of that sympathy buying in with the letters of just being AI is pretty funny with that company. I just looked at those shares a little bit more, and CA3I, they used to be what's called Siebel. Basically, this is the original Salesforce. So talking about trading information, that's what this system really is. They're selling software to companies to contact their vendors, their suppliers. Is that really like a AI, like robot, what people think? No, it's just more, it's better use of the information. It's just a database. It's just the old version of Salesforce.
Yeah, I think the Internet of Things was mainly just a kind of a sales thing put forward by the large tech companies, because they had a wet dream. They thought they were going to be able to sell us all kinds of crazy technology
kind of the way Apple does, all from, one company and keep it all in house. And then they realized, oh crap, people are buying, fridges and all this other stuff from all these separate companies because they're all Wi-Fi enabled anyway. So you don't need an Internet of Things, all Google products, for example. And I think that's kind of why it lost steam.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in terms of this downturn, right, in the market, and then big tech looking at areas to save money and do layoffs or whatever, they started identifying IoT businesses within their companies as, deemed non-profitable, at least for the most part, because again, it's really hard to gauge revenue because it's based off of usage and devices turning on and so forth. So it could look like, oh, well, Peloton just turned on our devices and they're utilizing it, but maybe usage isn't calculated to revenue. And then they have, 200-300 people in the IoT business, and then partners are running most of the work anyway. So it's like, is it even acceptable to continue within their business line? But again, it's not just a buzzword. It is real life applications, especially industrial sector. It's a big piece. So I'm bullish IoT, but it's really hard to generate revenue.
It's getting a lot of traction in the with the grid too, like the vehicle to grid charging,
Yep,
the water
industrial
heaters
piece.
that you can,
Yep.
where you could the grid, the smart meters, so that you can charge your car or heat your water at off-peak hours. It's going to see some traction there before it will on a fridge. Where what are they going to do? Send you ads on your fridge? I don't get the fridge, but the other stuff, it's making some sense.
Yeah, like your thermostat, right? Your Honeywells, like all those are big customers of these tech companies, and then Emerson, and then you got all those pieces too. So I mean, there's anything you can think of is usually an IoT piece. It's just hard to quantify.
I have a lot of appliances in my house, and I'm struggling to think of one that I cannot connect to. I'm very confident I can connect to everything from my dryer all the way to my microwave, including my refrigerator. I don't. I have literally no fucking reason to, but I can.
Yeah, I think what it will come down to, in my personal opinion, is that when you start to realize how much time you will save just by scheduling certain tasks. I mean, we don't have like a robot to pick up your laundry, put it in the washer, and then the robot to go back and open the washer door. And then, are you guys writing these $1 million ideas down, by the way? And then basically open them up, take the laundry from the washer to the dryer, and then alert you when the laundry's done, and then go through your automated folder. I mean, that stuff doesn't exist yet, but it will one day. Once one of you find people make those ideas. But that's really what it's going to come down to, is just basically people being open to having those sensors communicate with each other, because that's really what it is, right? We have ability to have a phone to communicate to certain lights, for example. LED lights is a great example. Or we can go to the sense of like Amazon Home, where you can control your garage, or whatever private company you want to use for that kind of stuff.
I mean, not to interrupt, Siri and all of
Sure.
those are a type of AI that help in your life.
Right. But and so yeah, exactly. But those are built-in sensors, right? So like obviously you've programmed and allowed for permissions for things to run. So, but yeah, I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah, but then you have like Amazon Sidewalk and other pieces, right, that they try to enhance their Amazon Alexas with.
Right.
So,
And all those communicate with each other are technically sensors at the end of the day, right? They're all communicating with each other.
Exactly.
But
they're
the
hard to
scary
keep
part,
up, and they're hard to put all together. Like it's a hodgepodge of different technologies, and
sure,
your Alexa changes. You got to go back in and change your rule. They're really hard.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
needs to come up with a system that puts them all together in an easy way, and they'll take off.
well, we won't do that. We still want to invest in our lovely stocks we love, right? And we would want competition for sure.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
what Apple Home was supposed to be, or it wasn't that billed as that too? Like, let's put all your devices together so you just have one place. I think a lot of people have, but not.
So it's funny you guys say this, because this is one of those wonderful applications of AI where AI can code in multiple different languages. And I really do feel like the
like the Alexa of the future that incorporates a program like ChatGPT is going to learn how to adapt to updates in your other software so it can control multiple devices that are programmed differently as long as it's receiving new information about the updates that are getting pushed. So it's
And
going to be
you guys are talking about integration, Internet of Things, and this and that, but nobody's brought up. So the software the system, because it's not just software, it's hardware and software that I know gets used the most in home automation, and is used the most because it's basically the most adaptable, the most flexible, and it can literally do anything. Is Control 4. And Control 4 is a big deal. My friend is one of the top, like my best friend's one of the top smart home and automation and security guys in Ontario. And it's all they use. It's all anybody uses. There are lots of those smart home things, the Alexas and the mid-range stuff, and they work to a degree, right? But they don't control everything. Control 4 controls everything. Control 4 can tie in with your Alexa. Control 4 can start your coffee maker in the morning. It can regulate the water levels in your fish tank. It can open your garage door, turn your lights on, turn on your sound, change songs. It does everything. They are owned by.
Gonna jerk me off.
What's that?
Just continue.
Yeah, it can turn you on and off too, bud. You just got to get one of those Bluetooth devices.
Yes.
Yeah, believe me, you'll find a driver. And I use that word loosely. But they're publicly traded. They're owned by a company called Snap One. And they were private for about a decade, and then they got absorbed, merged, whatever you want to call it, and they formed Snap One in 2019. And I can't speak to their financials. I've never looked them up. It just came up in this conversation. I know a little bit about the company. Their fucking product is amazing. It's just very expensive, and that's why it's not as widely used as the mid-range ones.
That's interesting. It's like that Harmony remote for the TVs, right?
It looks like Harmony. You have to see their driver database on their website, because I've seen the back end, like the dashboard that the installers and the resellers get to use, like to sort of program these homes, and it's wild.
So I'm looking at the back end documentation right now, and from what I can tell, it looks like they've actually done something quite clever. It looks like they've written some sort of SDK and encapsulated objects that we would operate on a daily basis, like compact discs and shit. There's cover art and CSV and all kinds of stuff in DHCP. And in some capacity, they're just providing an interface so that you can control common things with their SDK. But it's fucking everything.
If they make it easy like the Harmony remote did, that's the key.
Well, it's not easy. It's easy once it's programmed.
Oh, yeah,
but
this is not
the
easy.
install and the programming and all that, you need an expert to do it. You can't do it yourself. And that's one of the reasons why it's not so widely used. That's why it's not in every house.
Okay.
Right? But in reality, like what it can do versus like compared to the other quote unquote smart home stuff, devices, it's not even, they're not even in the same fucking game. Like they don't even.
Raspberry Pi, right?
What's the ticker?
Snap One.
So how much commission do you get off of this, Hendrix? Just curious.
Can you imagine? No, my boy's one of the platinum dealers in Ontario. He sells so many of these, and anytime he gets somebody who's building their big new custom home, and he shows them what it can do, he demos it. It's an automatic. They don't even think about it. They just get the fucking thing.
And then he goes and spends the money at his restaurant. That's how he pays him back.
Do they have any competitors? Do they have any?
Yeah, everybody's competing with them, but nobody's really in there at their level doing, like, nobody's really captured the market they have in the big, expensive multi-million-dollar smart homes, and like controlling these gigantic mansions, right? Like very much like the Internet of Things. Like, how do you actually, like, you can have all these devices that are adaptable and connectable, but how do you have a single brain controlling all of them so that it's one app on your phone? Because that's when it gets convenient, right?
You put constraints. So what we're talking about here is developing constraints for a house such that, like, you can only use LG products or something, right? Like, there's got to be constraints around this, and I don't want.
No, not even, man. So they've developed these little devices. So, like, say you have like a coffee maker you like, but it's not a smart coffee maker at all, but it has a timer, right? and you can set the timer for like 5 minutes. So they have this little device that you plug in between the coffee maker and the power supply, right? Like the actual plug in the wall, and that thing connects to the Control4 brain. So it will literally power up your non-digital coffee maker. The timer will trigger, and 5 minutes later, you'll have coffee ready, sitting in your pot.
What if
Every
it
day
is
at
a
the
smart
same time.
You
device?
get a new
That's different.
dishwasher, and you got to hire an expensive guy to come in to work on this thing to fix it. So it's like the market is at the top.
Oh yeah, well yeah. My boy
the
charges
market at all.
$160 an hour for
Yeah.
those guys, and he sends
That's
two.
the constraint. I mean, it's not gonna. That's gonna.
That's a lot.
$160 just to make my coffee maker start.
I mean, I can't imagine.
Like you need a firmware update. If something breaks, you're just gonna have
So
to
my
live
buddy
with it.
has an aquarium in his shop full of chicklets, right? And they always struggled, and they were really careful about it. They always struggled to make these things breathe. They gave it to Control4 to control, and they just set the timing and the temperatures and the water levels, and they started breeding within 6 days.
That
I don't think.
So what we're
Like
talking about
dishwasher breaks.
here is effectively turning the house into a factory floor. Like we've been doing this for fucking generations now at this point, learning how to automate these systems and stuff like that. We just haven't given access to, everyday people. Like we're starting to, and it's very expensive to do that. If you and I want to do it, we can, automate our air conditioner and maybe our freezer or some shit like that. But when you're talking about doing the entire house, it's not going to happen. At least not for me and you. Not anytime soon.
You sound like you're coming from the future right now.
I'm not. I'm in 2023. What do you have in your house? Why do I sound impressive?
You're in Nintendo, so technically you are in the future. But I digress.
Fair enough.
But I mean, there you can see the limitations of what you could do with IoT and so forth in your home, right? Like, how far can it really go at home? And then, of course, they don't care about the outside of your home usually. It's just the perimeter of your home and everything inside. So when you look at these IoT businesses, that's their focus. Because I was like, well, why don't they do, robotic, like your iRobot inside that cleans and mops or whatever, the vacuums? And then I was like, why not like a lawnmower version outside? And they're like, oh, we don't give a shit about the outside. Like, it's just all about inside.
So they have those
devices, your Wi-Fi, so forth.
They have those.
I know they have it,
but people steal them. Like people straight up run up in people's yards and run off with their fucking lawnmower.
Oh, you better use your Ring camera, bro. That.
Like every different type of light bulb you set up, you got to do weird stuff like turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on to like get the setup to work. Like there's different setups. It's it's real hard to get all that stuff set up and working together.
Yeah, I mean, I know
a friend who got a seizure trying to put his lights together, but that's for a different story. I will say that if you guys want to invent another idea, not that these ideas haven't been invented, but put a camera on your lawnmowers, and then if it recognizes your face, then it can, keep active. And then if someone's stealing it and they don't recognize the face, just turn the blade on. But yeah, no black jokes here. Or dark jokes, excuse me. What we'll say at the end of the day is yeah. Sorry.
Black History Month, bro.
That came across so wrong on so many levels. Completely by accident, I could tell, but damn.
Now we destroyed Black History Month and Veterans Day. Yeah.
Opinions not here.
Hey, you guys. Hey, please don't. You guys, come on.
We're gonna get nebulized.
Don't go that way.
Yeah.
Light and dark. Okay, light and dark. Hear me out. Okay? I am literally describing color here, so
yeah.
Don't go down that. Don't go down.
How are those eggshells treating you there, buddy?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Actually, white and black aren't colors; they're shades. So yeah.
I digress. But here, let me get back to my point. So anti-theft, right? I was trying to segue into cybersecurity within some respects. They'll be the saviors of this AI, right? When we have problems. And so I think they'll play hand in hand together, essentially. But the question is, at the end of the day, is how do you stop the people that want to like come in and destroy your AI system, right? That you've set up for your whole house. that is the issue at the end of the day, I think.
I mean, it would have to be like a center port of entry and exit, right? Like kind of like how skiffs in the military and the government, how they have that kind of all portaled into one little area. Your data kind of just disappears after the day. But if this is all going into the cloud, there's no way to stop it without regulation.
Yeah, and I have a security system. It's not that much, but I have a couple cameras, and it can tell me the difference between a vehicle or an animal or a person. So I don't always have to look at every alert. So it's very basic right there. But to bring it a little forward, I wanted to like program something and have my dog bark anytime my backyard went off. And the installer was kind of laughing at me like that stuff doesn't exist. That's it's like a pipe dream.
Yeah, those Ring cameras, they could do something similar, although, like small people, they've captured them as something else.
As far as like a long-term play on this, though, making money off like average folks getting it in their house, I think the best play is probably just school, just because they run Nest, and Nest seems to be the most popular kind of, I guess, poor man's smart home, if you will.
Yeah, Hardy has something set up where he reads all the license plates. There, if you play with one of those camera apps, you can automate almost everything it sees and have it trigger anything, from your computer.
I'll caution you. Hardy and I are both developers, and so we tinker. I'll also tell you guys that the gap between the interface that the people give you for whatever thing that you buy and doing something custom for yourself really is not that wide. You're going to have to learn some shit, but I can't think of a better way to start learning programming than to rig up some fucking crazy IoT shit in your garage.
Yeah, I'm doing that in my house, just everywhere. Just anything connected device, and I'm having the issues a lot that we've talked about, which is all connected, getting them all to play ball together, getting them all to kind of do the same thing, and then I'm having like 3 different apps if they're not the same brand. It becomes a pain, but it works out, and then of course there's just a ton of issues that happen throughout.
So as we talk about like this whole like smart home thing, I think there is, even just in the context of like how much money a company can make off of it, I think there is a limitation, and that comes to like the ability of your society to accept it, where everyone's just kind of like, yeah, smart homes are great, but like we've already seen pushback in terms of smart homes. Like look at Ring and automatically sharing information with the police. So it's taking information off of your front door camera and automatically sharing it with the cops. Now, I'm not saying that you're doing anything illegal, but
I definitely
you might not want them. You might not want the police to have automatic access to your device without your permission. So that happened.
So
then you can look at one more example. Smart thermostats down in Texas when they had that really big like ice storm that knocked out power, and the smart thermostat started metering people's power usage and basically fucked everyone with a smart thermostat and just basically was like, nope, you're gonna freeze. Like that's also a problem where your technology is so smart that it's actually allowing your power company to control your ability to use your utilities, like in a very personal way. So
I think those you would have the option to opt in and out of that. I know there's a lot of scare tactics about those thermostats. They want to scare people away from them big time, but you're gonna have the option to go in and out of that. And you'll be rewarded for doing it.
So I got Ecobee thermostat for my house, and they do give you the option of opt-in where you connect with your power company and allow them to regulate your power usage during peak hours, which is in theory a wonderful idea and saves you about $50 a year, which isn't really that much. It's really more beneficial to them because if you have 100,000 people doing that, then it's useful. But it's not really that useful to you. But even when I installed my smart thermostats, I kept my dumb thermostat, which I still keep in my pantry, because I don't entirely trust any company and their ability to self-regulate.
You just
Because
put your devices in the microwave so they don't get hacked.
yeah, basically, no. I just kept my old manual thermostat because what I wanted to do is have the ability to disconnect my smart thermostats if they started acting up and just reconnect my regular thermostat. So thermostat, it's got like 5 wires.
I have a question regarding things like routers. Is it possible to, let's say, have a router where you can set it to flag devices and stuff that are connected to the network and send a report to the reader, to the end user, as in terms of like usage statistics, sites visited, that kind of stuff, even for home use?
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
I
them have
wanted
it.
to just, if I can just say real quick, Leap and Leopard. Sorry, I'll let you come in. I just wanted to say real quick. You can actually run a very private network inside your house, so you don't have to actually utilize these public addresses, if you want to call it that, at the end of the day. So you can actually have it where nobody knows you're actually using sensors or Bluetooth in your house. But obviously, if you're going to use like Amazon and devices that are made for that public awareness, then yeah, you're going to have a little issue. Unless you want to, well, I won't bring that on the call, but there's ways around it.
See, that's where I find this all contradictory, right? Like we could talk about your Ring cameras and all your devices at home and blah 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 blah, but at the end of the day, it's really the big tech companies that are the ones giving the information out to the police, not because they wanted to, but because they've been strongholded to, which is why they still exist and why they became so big, because they had to play ball with the government, the federal government, all the agencies, and so forth. So as soon as you connect it to any of those devices or companies, you're already kind of wavering your rights, in my opinion. So as long as you're not murdering somebody at home, you should be good.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Not saying that I am, but
Any other plays on it? Like
Routers.
any other companies that are publicly traded other than like Nest or Google? What other
Yeah,
tickers
hold on
are
one
there?
second though. I want to make sure. Leap and Leopard, you were coming in with some. I didn't want to step over you.
No, I was all set.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Diamond Hand and then WOTG.
No, my only question was, are there tickers associated with this like industry that we can look at?
There's a million tickers associated to all this. It depends
Yeah,
on really what you're looking for.
yeah, exactly. And I think you're going to find that everyone's going to play the AI game when people start allowing it, because it's going to be an issue, right? McDonald's has come out with their robotic, we'll call it automatic restaurant. But we could argue Whole Foods came out with their grocery store, which was the automated solution. But I would say at the end of the day, if you look at Japan, not to talk about them, not to stroke their own ego, but there's a company called Uniqlo, and you can basically buy a crap load of clothes, put it in a box, and it scans all your UPCs within seconds, right? And that stuff's been around for like almost 5 years now. So yeah, it's like there's nothing like really profound coming out of the woodworks. I think that's the boring part of it, like for me personally. And yeah, Hardy talks about his license plates coming up, and he can scan like who's recognizable versus who he doesn't recognize. And then you have like the people that create the cameras for the cats come on the lawns and they recognize cats and they turn on the sprinkler system. I mean, the list goes on and on what you can do with AI, right?
Yeah, you could like read all the code from all your separate Internet of Things items and then input it all into Chat GPT. Is that something that could like have a crawler that would read all the code and then spit back out a program, one app that you could install just to run everything?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to toot the own horn of ChatGPT. I feel like it's been stressed enough, but I mean, just go on there and say, "Hey, I need to create a machine learning," or I guess you would say for you guys is technology words. Please give me code to create an AI script for recognizing certain images, and then it will give you different libraries. And let's say it gives you the Google library, you can say, "No, I don't like Google. give me Microsoft, so I'll give you Microsoft. So you can actually get this scripts for free, or go on GitHub and find these projects that have been built. And yeah, I mean the list goes on and on. This stuff exists, and yeah. But I digress.
Yeah, here's some insider information from a defense contractor I used to work for, and this was like 4 years ago or so, so it's even more advanced now. But they
He
essentially
means
had
friendly
some.
story. Friendly story.
Go ahead.
You mean friendly story?
Yeah, friendly story. No insider information. Friendly story that they had a technology that was an AI machine learning. It was similar to what Hardy was mentioning with the scanning of license plates. So essentially, it's an entire software platform that you just upload videos, pictures, readings, writings, whatever it is, books, you name it, anything. It was used for the army and their intelligence gathering. So if they were trying to look for an individual, you would just upload. They all have all types of recon and surveillance. So then they would take all those pictures, videos, you name it, and they'll just dump it in there, and they just type in, person with, large B. Next to it would populate everything that has that, and it would just scan it. So they've won a ton of contracts with the military doing it, using that tool. So you're easily findable is my point here. But the technology has gotten even better. And if you use Chat GPT within it, you get even closer to precision with locating.
Always encourage people to learn to code. It's far less complicated than people think that it is, and it's like I said earlier, the garage things are really where you guys are going to enjoy it. I think I got a buddy that has a kiosk in his kitchen that he uses the Chrome WebDriver to automate Chrome, and it just cycles through a bunch of like crappy little websites that he's made that connect out to APIs and it'll pull like this week's weather, and it connects to like an API that does scheduling, and so his kids and shit can walk up to the kiosk and say, I've got this on Thursday or whatever. It's fucking fantastic, and you can't buy that shit. You can't go to the store and buy that shit. He just made it.
So yeah, all this to say, calls on AI, C3 AI. Honestly, I'm holding shares though, so.
I do like buying the AI stock because people think that it's investing in AI. I think that's a wonderful.
It is awesome. It used to be $160. I traded it when it IPO'd and so forth. So I mean, there's a ton of bag holders up here in the high ranges. So I mean, you at these prices, it's fantastic. At 20, it was even better. I was telling a ton of people to buy it around 20. Now it's at 30, I think. So either way, holding the stock, you're gonna make money.
One of the biggest opportunities for AI is in healthcare, not medicine, but actually like preventive healthcare. There's the top three diseases in the United States are preventable. Kidney failure, diabetes, and high blood pressure are long-term diseases that happen over a long period of time. The problem is that insurance companies and your healthcare insurance, doesn't kick in until you actually have the disease. So I think one of the and healthcare in the United States is a disaster in terms of price and the cost. The U.S. is one of the leading developing countries, and it's the only developing country where the life expectancy was on the decline even before COVID hit. Because of the way that healthcare is practiced in the U.S. Also, somehow our politicians have managed to put in place a healthcare system that's so expensive that even millionaires can't afford it. Like the United States, you can make millions of dollars in your professional career. You get one illness, and your money's gone, and you're back to eating behind the dumpster at Wendy's. And the key to all of this is that with AI, you can train AI to have even more expertise than doctors do in terms of managing a person's health. And there was actually a study that was done with AI where they created a machine learning algorithm that was fed millions of images of retinal scans, like scans of a person's iris, a person's eye. And this AI, after a period of time, started classifying the images into male and female. And until then, optometrists never thought that you could identify a person's gender by their iris and by their eye. But AI figured out a way to do that. So AI is actually making its own discoveries in healthcare. And so, like with high blood pressure, for example, the medical industry doesn't recognize that you have a disease until your blood pressure hits 130 over 90 or 80 or something like that. And but it doesn't happen overnight, like breaking a bone, like where you break a leg or something like that. High blood pressure happens over long periods of time, and it's consumption based. So if you can like combine this IoT stuff with AI that can tell an individual that, hey, if you keep doing what you're doing now, you're going to have high blood pressure or diabetes or kidney failure in the next 5 years, you're giving people an opportunity to delay the onset of those diseases at least, or
So
at best,
bullish on Apple then, because Apple's doing that, right? Apple's
avoid
starting to
avoid
look-
avoid them altogether. Maybe. But you need more more sensors and stuff like that. But what AI gives you the opportunity of doing is basically, if people are going to be healthy, they need to have a doctor in their pocket, because you can't afford to go to the doctor every day to have them tell you what you're doing. But what you can do is you can put the knowledge that doctors have into an AI and use that to guide people lifestyle choices to make better choices. And
So
if people are given the opportunity to do that, I think they would.
Yeah, and
So I think the question is, if this all comes to fruition, who's the real winner here? Because as we've seen with, like, what's it called, ChatGPT, GPT-3, and then what? There's other companies out there with their own transformers like Lambda. The AI part gets commoditized pretty fast. The
Yeah.
real value is in the training data, because if you,
That's correct. That's correct. That's the part of like healthcare in and of itself. Medical care, the way that is practiced in the United States today, is they're using the wrong model. That's why it's not working. That's why healthcare costs keep rising every year, and why a lot of the Fortune 100 and 500 companies are reporting that healthcare costs are some of the biggest headwinds that they're facing, and nobody has a clue how to resolve it. And the reason nobody has a clue how to resolve it is because they're trying to sell healthcare as if it were a capitalist product, but it's not, right? Healthcare, you can't sell it the way that you sell cars, for the simple reason that you can create demand for cars. Like Tesla can create demand for a Tesla car, but nobody wants a fucking heart attack. Nobody wants kidney failure. These are things that happen to people because they're ignoring the signs that their body is giving them day in and day out. So the big problem, the reason that healthcare is failing in America is because it's being sold the wrong way. And by that's medical care, I should say, not healthcare. The other side of that, healthcare is something that's marketable because people do want better health, right? People don't want more heart attacks, but people do want better health. So you can market better healthcare, and it becomes a marketable capitalist product because health is basically wealth.
Sure.
And-
So the question really is, which company is going to be the one to do that? So,
Well,
I mean, it's
the companies that create the devices that can help you gather the data to train the AI. And one of the companies I'm looking at is Google, because they have, for example, one of the things that they have from a healthcare standpoint is they have a database of all the 200 some thousand known proteins that the human body has. And proteins are to genes what bytes are to a computer. Proteins are how genes express themselves.
Didn't Google just announce layoffs for Verily, which was their life sciences AI division?
They may have, or they might be reshifting it, but they still have this database of the data is the valuable part. As far as who's working on it and what they're doing, maybe they haven't figured out yet what the right model should be in all of this. But like the right model in all of this is prevention.
I just want to
So
say
the
real
winners
quick.
are probably going to be the health insurance companies because they're going to want to use AI to pay less for people getting fixed and be able to charge the same
I
premiums,
think we're
which they're
missing.
going to have to be in control of that.
Let
Well,
me talk to you
even
guys
then,
for a second.
no,
I'm
because
looking at
insurance doesn't work with preventive health care.
yeah. I'm looking at Cerner. I'm looking at Cerner.
Can I
Look
just
at
add
software
one
like that.
keyword in here real quick? I feel like we're missing something at the end of the day, which is data models. I feel like you guys are talking about like trained data, but the reality is that it comes down to models. Okay, if I can just put it out there, and then furthermore, I feel like we're kind of transgressing from the original point of conversation, which was IoT. And if you want to stick to that for just a quick second, if you may, if we might, just for a second, if we look into like nanobots, right, as a pure example, that's really where AI is going now from a medical standpoint. In regards to like image recognition and whatnot, that's kind of yesterday, if I can say it like that, because we've already solved that in so many areas. It's just not really public domain, meaning public conversation. But if you're in the healthcare industry, you've been talking about this for like literally years, and these models have already been tested through time. I'm not going to downplay any of the points that are made here today, but I will say that a lot of this stuff that you're bringing up now, I mean, they've already done that, and so that could be the reason.
No, nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing this.
All right, guys, listen.
Yes, are you?
Let me put a bug in your ear. It's called Cerner. Have you ever heard of Cerner?
What's the ticker?
I don't know. It's a piece of software that Oracle stands up. That's healthcare software.
Can you spell it?
CERNER. So there's two different types of software that you get into when you're in the healthcare field. There's EMR and then there's EHR. I don't know a whole lot about these, but what you guys are talking about at the end of the day is the collection of data to model some sort of medical behavior such that I can provide the expectation from that model to people, right? And you're talking about stuff that I think Oracle is going to be doing in the Cerner space. Like they're going to be collecting data, trying to model, like, how can I tell people they've got lung cancer 6 years in advance with an AI thing? I think that's what Oracle would be doing at this point with that stuff.
Right, and that's where nanobots will come in hand, because you can basically swallow a pill, capture the data, and then poop it out, and then it sends a signal. Like it's that simple, right? And I would argue, if I can just say this real quick, is that at the end of the day, this has been in the works for like a long time. And I would also say that if you're really curious about this, just look up like nanobots in the healthcare industry. Walgreens is already using their automated pill prescriptions, and the fulfillment centers being the first one to be tackled down, right? And then after that, we're going to see like these ways of people using AI models within the body. The problem with the body, though, that we really should bring up at the end of the day, is that it's a bespoke solution. Not everyone's the same, right? People eat differently. They have different genetics. They have different health problems. Maybe we could say at the end of the day, can we capture lung cancer? Can we see if their lungs are damaged or not? Yes, of course, right? It's an organ, and most organs look the same at the end of the day. But in regards to like a human's body, it's very like unique in its respective way, right? And so I think that there's a little issue there, and a fine line that we really need to like consider. But like Opinion said, like what companies are going to come out in the long run, and I would say look at the modeling companies that can take this data and make pure models, and then look at the modeling companies that are going to pair into the nanobots, because that's really what's going to be coming down to, or the more hospital machines. But yeah, I digress.
But again, none of those things. So today in the U.S. anyway, you're not going to get a nanobot.
Hold on. I've got plays. So before we talk about theories,
I want to give you guys a past example real quick on this topic, right? So I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm old enough to remember when genetic mapping was kind of seen as like the future of healthcare. And we identified things like genes that make indicates susceptibility to breast cancer. And everyone thought that genetics would solve all the problems of healthcare. But if you actually look at let's say, the rate of incidence of breast cancer in the United States, even though we have this wonderful model of predictability for breast cancer, and we've got all these screenings in place, it hasn't really dropped that much. In fact, it's just fractions of a percentage in change. So when you look at these models and you think to yourself, these are going to solve the problems of the healthcare industry, they won't, because the problem the healthcare industry has is that we are the people. In other words, people investing in companies are the people who are having these conversations. We are trying to figure out how we can make money off of healthcare. And ultimately, that is going to be a bar to actually making healthcare cheaper. We're only interested in what can make money.
That's where the preventive side of it comes into play. And those nanobots that you're talking about, those aren't going to get prescribed to people. It's the same thing with devices today. None of these awesome medical devices that you have, that medicine has at its disposal, none of these are put into play until you become sick. What I'm talking about is the predecessor to all of that, when you're still healthy, and nobody is focusing on it to the extent that it needs to be. And that's where the focus needs to be, is on the keeping people healthy side, not the curing. Once you have the disease, you're fucked, right? Like once your kidneys by the time you realize that your kidneys are failing from naturally being able to detect it, you're fucked. You're already stage 1 kidney failure, and you're not going to undo that, right? What I'm talking about is not healthcare via insurance. Like when you're doing healthcare, you're not sick, so you don't need medical insurance. When you're doing healthcare, it should be done on a subscription basis, and you subscribe to these devices the way that you would subscribe to a cell phone plan, right? And nobody is doing that yet, and that's where the money.
I hear you.
And the data,
loud and clear.
the data in all of that is worth trillions of dollars, right?
All right, let me give you guys some names. Listen.
Misdiagnosis is what the biggest problem is at the end of the day. Misdiagnosis, and every doctor that is listening right now will essentially go to the first thing, which is like, look, I don't want to get sued at the end of the day and misdiagnose somebody, because
doctors do not have the ability. Doctors do not have the ability. Like today, what's happening?
All right. Hold on. Human, just 1 second. Look, I mean, personally, I think it's great that the medical system in America, takes everybody's money, because I'm an investor and I invest in companies that take those people's money. So, I mean, the only thing I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to invest in whatever company is going to make the most money. So,
opinion. Can I give you some names for some companies that you might be interested in?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Here, I don't know all of the company names, but here are the software names, so you guys can do your own research about all the shit we've been talking about for the last hour. Epic, eClinicalWorks, NextGen Healthcare, WebPT, Allscripts, Cerner, and there's one more, if you'll give me just a moment. 3M Health Information Systems and Athena Health. If you want to invest in some shit, the companies that build those those pieces of software for the medical industry, is probably where you're going to want to be looking.
Is that EHR or the records? Is that
yeah. Because
that is one of the biggest problems in American healthcare today, because there are 136 different EHR solutions out there, which basically means as a person, there is no single organization that has a full view of your health records. And additionally, those EHR systems are not intercompatible. So it's difficult to get information from one to another. I've looked at this. One of the biggest problems is that like you go to your dentist, they have one EHR system. You go to your urologist, they have a different EHR system. You go to your proctologist, he has a homegrown EHR system.
No, your medical records are pretty. I had my life and health license for 20 years. Your life and health records are actually pretty.
So
together.
I think Opinion's point here, guys. I think Opinion's point is that we're on two different sides of this thing, right? Like we all kind of fucking hate this thing, but we're here to talk about how we make money, right? This is the investment.
Hey.
Well, and
I'm in the room still. You guys
And
can talk.
all I'm saying
my
is
bad.
that I think as far as industry goes, healthcare in the U.S. is due for what do we call it? Revolution,
A
because
facelift? A
it's
fucking
not.
war? I mean, we don't disagree. I'm just saying, like, it's, we're talking about, I think, opinion, what he's looking for here is, like, how do we make money? Because the chat's dying, right? We all agree healthcare's fucked, but, we're here for a specific reason. And I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I'm just saying, like, if there's anybody here who got up this morning and thought, holy shit, the healthcare system in America is wonderful, and, fucking give me a Doge emoji, because I don't think we're going to get many.
Well, all I'm saying is that I'm looking, like, as far as AI
That
goes,
asshole.
as far as AI and investment opportunities go, I'm looking at companies that are looking towards preventive type, using AI to help prevent healthcare issues rather than wait for people to get sick, right? And that's going to be the next sort of revolution, I think, with AI is going to be, that's the last industry that's going to get transformed by technology and by AI, but that's kind of what I'm looking at for AI to be able to do.
So I spent like 6 years in the medical industry. I worked in a hospital in Tucson. And, I got a billion stories. The story that I like to tell people the most is about the sterile bed sheet clamps. I worked in an optometrist office, and she ordered sterile bed sheet clamps. They're basically like aluminum chip bag clamps, right? And there's 6 of them in a package. And you have to use those for every sheet that you put on the bed when somebody comes in to, like, do an eye exam and they sit on the bed or whatever the fuck, right? So if you're a patient and you come in, you sit on the bed, they're going to strap this sterile sheet that they've washed to the bed with these aluminum clamps. Those clamps come in a package of 6. It takes 4 of them to put on a bed sheet, clearly, because it's a fucking rectangle, right? Comes in a pack of 6. That pack of 6 sterile aluminum fucking chip bag clamps is $5,999. I have printed the fucking invoice because the optometrist was so stupid she couldn't print the fucking invoice. That woman is paying $6,000 for 6 aluminum chip bag clamps so you can sit your ass on a fucking bed sheet that's clean. And we wonder what's wrong with the medical industry.
I mean, Tylenol, I paid probably like $1,000 for like 1 or 2 Tylenols.
So I digress. We're here to make money because it's fucked no matter how you look at it.
Well, if you've been listening in, you might be questioning, well, I'm not sure what to think of this, but what you can think about is our Discord. That's right. Check out the Discord. That's the WallStreetBets Discord. We have a casino. We have movie night. We have chats. We have special analysts. We have people that pump and dump stocks in there. I'm just joking about the pump and dump, but really at the end of the day, we got great plays in there. Like-minded people in there that talk about many different topics. Sometimes I wonder what the heck we're talking about in there, but nonetheless, check it out. It's the Discord for WallStreetBets. It's in actual comment of opinion. An opinion. We do have a question there. You forgot the hub link. Are we not getting sponsorship from them anymore, or what's going on there?
No, Luce posted some of his rear bits, and we got demonetized, so got kicked off the hub.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Hopefully we can find a new model to replace that, and we'll get back on there. But until then, yeah, I think we did a good job today, opinion. I think I don't want to like end the talk, but at the same time, I feel like it's,
it's run its course for sure. All right. Well,
love you guys.
Let the AI run this.
Hey, can we get like a Chat GPT opinion bot?
Right.
Or is that visual mod already?
I think that's visual mod, but what would you trade it on, my boys? I don't know. But we'll think about that. We'll talk more in the Discord, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Don't lose too much money, and yeah, good luck today. Or the rest of today.
Puts on tag.
Love you guys.